Grand Peace Online was released around 10 months ago on the 14th of November 2020. The game was highly anticipated and it was an instant hit. After release, the game maintained a consistent and loyal player base. In the early days, I was unsure if Grand Peace Online would last. It wasn't so much that the game was bad or I noticed any sort of immediate flaws. Rather, I had experienced games in the past, like One Piece Final Chapter 2, that only lasted a few months before the game count dropped to under 100 players. This definitely made me cautious when it came to approaching and investing my time into a new game. After a few months though, this worry that Grand Peace Online would die went away. The game was just too well made. There were plenty of bugs and such, but the core gameplay and general visuals were amazing in comparison to what I had played before. A lot of people will brand Grand Peace Online as a generic bandit beater, and while I definitely won't pretend like it does not match the criteria, I think that it's naive to summarize it like this. The game's visuals and mechanics are top notch when it comes to current One Piece Roblox games. The arena and trade system are some of the best on Roblox. This leads nicely onto another point I'd like to touch on. The game has progressively got better. I know in the past I've talked about how Update 0 era was superior or how I think it was more fun, but in all honesty I do think I look back with somewhat rose tinted glasses. One issue I remember a lot back in the Update 0 era was that it was hard to find fair 1v1s, as there was no arena system that actually existed back then. It did take some time for this to be added, but once it was, it allowed players to 1v1 others efficiently without having to look for fights in public servers. Now this helped to highlight one of the game's best features, its PvP, and Grand Peace Online's PvP is one of the most enjoyable and well-made PvP systems out there on Roblox currently. And even if it is broken in places, the core mechanics are all well made and smooth. Now, what does this have to do with the longevity and game development? Well, Grand Peace Online has managed to keep its player count relatively high consistently for 10 months. It will soon be a year since release, and the game doesn't seem to be slowing down. Now, while this isn't anything new in terms of One Piece Roblox games, I think the ways Grand Peace Online has stayed alive and the effectiveness with which it has done so are important points to cover. One way Grand Peace Online has done this is by consistently improving core elements of the game and strengthening the best parts of the game. This was shown most clearly in the arena mode example. Recognizing that PvP was a huge part of the game and a big draw for a lot of players, FOYU chose to prioritize this system and get it out. This made a lot of players happy as they could now enjoy their favorite part of the game, and it also helped keep them playing as arena mode served as, despite being unrewarding, an experience with high replayability. Now, this is a lesson that I think a lot of aspiring or already established developers could learn from. Analyze your game, see what players are enjoying most, and then help to facilitate their enjoyment of that specific part of the game. This is shown again in the trading system, which helped to strengthen another hugely popular part of the game, trading. Now, Grand Peace Online Devil Fruits are rarer than usual, so their trade value is extremely high. Now, consider the trade system, which also allows for item trading, and you have a catalyst for creating a healthy and very much alive in-game economy. Now, I'm not saying Grand Peace Online did this perfectly, it definitely did not, but the fact that they did it at all is proof of its effectiveness. Now, another thing that Grand Peace Online has done well is creating a skilled and dedicated developer team. Now, there are plenty of valid criticisms of the GPO devs, but one thing you can't say is that they aren't skilled. Banier's models are amazing. TB Glitch's animations are some of the best I've ever seen, and even down to the UI graphics, the developer's skill and talent always shines through. Having a skilled developer team like this is very important to a game's success, since every area of the game needs to be kept to a standard. To use an extreme example, if a game had the best animations but the worst models, it would most likely not be successful. The GPO dev team, however, is skilled across the board, so everything is kept to a high standard. This gives the game a very polished feel. Another benefit of having impressive features like this in all the different areas of the game is that when it comes to releasing sneak peeks, they can do it gradually and separately without it losing its effect. Now this is shown by how each of the devs is allocated their own channel in the Discord server, as opposed to one big sneak peek channel. However, Furyu also has that area covered too, as he also posts to his YouTube channel as well, which gives players a look into a more polished product. When he does post, it helps the sneak peek videos to spread even further. Now the next thing I want to talk about can't really be attributed solely to Furyu, but rather is something almost completely out of his control, and that is the content creators and their effect on the game. It is important, in my opinion, for a game to have a strong content presence on YouTube, and other platforms too, but primarily YouTube, as this not only helps to advertise the game, but it also serves as a way to keep already established players entertained and excited about the game. This can be even more impactful if you have content creators who primarily focus on Grand Peace Online, as it forces them to find new and interesting ways to create content for the game and thus keep the player base entertained and thinking about GPO. This is why I believe a strong content creator presence is especially important for a Roblox anime game, and even more so a YouTuber presence that focuses primarily on the game, since as I mentioned, it helps to keep the focus on the game and even after there is relatively no content left. Another obvious way this helps the game is it brings in new players, and new players are probably one of the most important things for a game to try to get, as new players will have to grind through the game and do the progression, and it will mean that during periods where established players have run out of content, the new players can still keep the game's numbers high. Now Grand Peace Online has done this well, and in my opinion has maintained a strong and loyal player base, while also consistently gaining new players. In fact, especially in the period after an update, it's not uncommon to see new players at Shellstown joining for the very first time. I've covered a lot of different things, and I could understand if this video comes across as disorganized, and you may have trouble relating what I've said in the video to the title, so I'll try to summarize it now. What Grand Peace Online has done and the way the game is developed is nothing that special at face value. In fact, a lot of Grand Peace Online's core mechanics are almost identical to other prominent One Piece Roblox games. However, what makes Grand Peace Online so great is that it does these things so well. Everything from UI to the animations are done with such a high quality that it even seems almost like a completely different game to, let's say, Blox Fruits. And this, in my opinion, is the game's greatest strength. Anything Grand Peace Online does is done to a very high standard. This helps to create a refreshing and new experience without actually having to deviate too far from the tried and tested path. The game still has bandits, and it still has bosses, but sometimes you can lose yourself in just how well made it is, even for a second, and forget that you are not playing a bandit beater. Alright, that's where I'm going to end the video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. As always, I hope you're having a great day, evening, whatever time it is for you, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye guys.